Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, so today we're going straight into what might be the single biggest lie at the heart of a huge New Zealand mystery. I'm talking about the 1993 raid on Sean Allen's farm. We're zeroing in on the key piece of evidence used to get that raid warrant, an intelligence source known only as HAPWAB.
Right. And HAPWAB is where the official story just, well, it completely unravels.
Police records, the actual warrant documents, cited HAPWAB as a secure computer terminal code.
A computer code. But then later on, inquiries were made under the Official Information Act.
And the finding was what? Conclusive?
Totally conclusive. No such computer system or terminal code existed. It was a phantom, a ghost in the machine.
But you're suggesting the ghost was actually hardware.
Exactly. What's fascinating here is that this ghost record was, administrative fiction. It was designed purely to create probable cause.
But it was just a lie on paper.
No. That fiction was hiding a kinetic reality. We think HAPWAB was a physical surveillance array, literally buried in the ground on his property.
Okay, so walk me through that. I mean, if you can just lie on the paperwork and invent a code, why go to all the effort and the immense risk of burying physical devices on private land?
Because the legal stakes were, well, they were astronomical. This wasn't just any case.
This was the big one.
This was the proof of concept for the brand new Proceeds of Crime Act, 1991. It set the precedent for the nation's very first asset forfeiture.
POCA, right. It was seen as pretty draconian at the time.
It was. It let the state seize assets like Allen's entire farm before a conviction. It just flipped the whole burden of proof. So, for this massive test case, the Crown needed a pristine, untouchable victory.
And admitting they'd bugged the place without a warrant would not be pristine.
It would be a disaster for them. It would immediately trigger the fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine.
So for anyone listening, that means any evidence you get from an illegal search, it's all contaminated.
The whole case collapses. So the physical device, whatever it was, it had to be fictionalized, turned into a computer code that could later be, denied as ever existing.
Which it was. Okay, so that explains the motive. But how?
Yeah.
How do you install a sophisticated surveillance grid, a hardwired audio-physical wide-area bugging system without anyone noticing?
The chaos of early 1990s privatization, it was a perfect storm.
Right.
It gave them three perfect vectors of access onto that property. First, you had Telecom New Zealand.
Just privatized, sold to U.S. interests.
And they were in the middle of this aggressive fiber rush, digging trenches, laying cables all across rural land. I mean, what better camouflage could you ask for?
Burying sensors right alongside legitimate cables.
Yeah.
Genius. What was the second vector?
The Napier-Gisborne Railway Corridor. It ran directly through the farm.
An easement, so they had access.
They had access. And this was just before the 1993 rail sale, so you had maintenance crews who could operate with very little scrutiny. It's classic non-official cover.
And one of the men who testified against Allen was a railway worker, wasn't he?
He was indeed. Perfectly positioned. And the third vector was just, proximity to the Esk River. It gives you another pretext for utility work, environmental monitoring. Anything to draw attention away.
The timeline on this is just incredible. He buys the farm in May 92. The raid is January 93.
Right through the spring and summer maintenance season. It aligns perfectly with reports of unusual work being done on phone lines and that rail corridor.
So the work done on the lines, that was the actual setup.
That was the mechanism of the frame-up. And you have to remember the tech back then. In 1993, you didn't have reliable long-term RF bugs. For the kind of data they needed for a major seizure, you needed a hardwired installation, a secure physical tap.
HAPWAB.
HAPWAB.
So what does this all mean then? It seems like the deeper story here was never really about drugs. It's about the law and it's about the land title.
That's it. The whole operation was about positioning the Allen estate as a high-value target to be seized and turned into a state asset. They used a brand new, incredibly powerful law to do it.
So you, the listener, are learning how the system can create a fiction, a ghost record, to hide a very real, very physical maneuver.
And it leaves you with a really important question. If the fictional computer code, HAPWAB, was designed to disappear from the record, and the physical sensor array, also HAPWAB, was designed to be pulled out of the ground right after the raid, what happens to a legal system when the core evidence that justifies seizing someone's land is explicitly designed to be both invisible and non-existent? The state got the land, but the secret of how they really got their intelligence, that remains buried.